If she suddenly crosses your mind out of nowhere, it's not random. It's usually because you've already crossed hers more than once. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you isn't taught in dating advice videos or whispered between friends. It's something women feel before they ever admit it, even to themselves. When a woman has you on her mind, she rarely announces it. She signals it quietly, instinctively, through small behaviors most men overlook or misinterpret. And those small behaviors, they're louder than any confession. When she starts doing things that seem unnecessary, that's your first clue. Not dramatic gestures, subtle ones. She replies when she doesn't have to. She finds reasons to reappear in your world without a clear purpose. A message that doesn't need an answer, a reaction to something old, a casual check-in disguised as randomness. From the outside, it looks harmless. From the inside, it's intentional. Her mind has already attached meaning to you, and her emotions are searching for permission to follow. Here's the truth most men miss. When a woman thinks about you, her nervous system reacts before her logic does. She feels a slight pull, a curiosity, a disturbance in her emotional routine, and instead of confronting it directly, she tests the feeling. She reaches out lightly. She watches how you respond. She notices your tone, your timing, your calm. This isn't manipulation, it's instinct. She's gauging whether thinking about you feels safe or dangerous. You'll notice she mirrors you without realizing it. Your phrases start coming out of her mouth. Your humor echoes back days later. Your energy sets the pace of the interaction. This happens because when a woman replays you in her mind, she rehearses emotional familiarity. Familiarity creates comfort. Comfort creates attachment. And attachment begins long before attraction is spoken. Another sign is when she remembers things you forgot you said. Small details, passing comments, preferences you mentioned once. That's not coincidence. The brain only stores information it deems emotionally relevant. So if she remembers, it's because her mind tagged you as significant. Men often think attraction is loud and obvious. For women, it's quiet and cumulative. It builds in the background, like pressure behind a wall. Pay attention to how she reacts to your absence. When you pull back slightly and she fills the space, that's not anxiety, that's awareness. You've left a gap where your presence used to be, and now her mind notices the silence. She may ask indirect questions. She may appear where she knows you'll be. She may increase engagement without admitting why. This is her subconscious saying, something's missing. And here's the part that separates men who stay on her mind from men who fade. You don't chase these signs. You don't call them out. You don't demand clarity. You stay grounded, calm, unrushed. When a woman feels you're centered within yourself, her thoughts return to you naturally. Mystery isn't about being distant, it's about being complete. If she's doing these things, it's because her emotions are already ahead of her words. And once a woman's mind circles you repeatedly, the heart isn't far behind. When a woman can't stop thinking about you, her emotions begin to leak through her behavior in ways she doesn't consciously control. This is where most men get confused, because what she does may seem inconsistent on the surface. One day she's warm, open, and engaged. The next she appears distant or guarded. Many men assume this means loss of interest. In reality, it often means the opposite. Emotional conflict creates fluctuation. Indifference does not. Inside her mind, a quiet debate is happening. Part of her wants to lean in to feel the comfort of your presence, to explore what the connection could become. Another part is protecting her vulnerability, asking whether this attachment is wise. When you occupy her thoughts, you trigger both desire and caution. That tension shows up as mixed signals, not because she's playing games, but because her emotions haven't fully decided where to land. You'll notice she asks questions that aren't really about information. She wants to know how you think, not what you do. She probes your values, your reactions, your boundaries. These questions help her build an emotional map of you. Women don't bond through facts, they bond through emotional predictability. If she can sense how you'll respond without guessing, she feels safer thinking about you more often. Another powerful indicator is how she reacts to other women around you. This doesn't always look like jealousy. Sometimes it's curiosity disguised as indifference. Sometimes it's subtle competition, a slight shift in tone, a need to reassert her presence. When a woman's mind is invested in you, she becomes more aware of potential threats to that emotional space, even if she hasn't claimed you. Watch how she shares personal stories, not dramatic confessions, but moments of emotional exposure, things she doesn't tell everyone, vulnerabilities wrapped in casual language. This is her way of inviting you into her inner world without risking rejection. When a woman replays you in her head, she imagines how it would feel to be understood by you. Sharing is her test of that imagined safety. You may also notice she seeks your opinion more than necessary, not because she needs validation, but because your perspective has weight. When a woman values a man mentally, his thoughts influence her self-perception. She wants to see herself through your eyes. This is one of the deepest signs of emotional interest, yet it's often mistaken for friendliness. Here's something rarely discussed. When a woman thinks about you frequently, she becomes more emotionally sensitive to you. Your words carry more impact. A compliment lingers longer. A neutral comment can be overanalyzed. Silence can feel louder. This sensitivity isn't weakness, it's investment. The more space you occupy in her mind, the more meaning your actions hold. This is why emotional self-control matters. If you react impulsively, seek reassurance, or push for certainty, you disrupt the emotional image she's building. But if you remain steady, attentive without pressure, present without demand, her mind continues to return to you. Comfort grows, curiosity deepens, attachment forms quietly. Understand this. Women don't fall because a man convinces them to. They fall because their own mind keeps returning to him when he's not there. And if she's showing these signs, it's because you've already become part of her emotional landscape. When you're truly on her mind, she doesn't just think about you in moments of boredom. She thinks about you during emotional transitions, after a long day before she falls asleep, in quiet spaces where distractions fade. This is where attachment deepens because these moments are tied to emotional regulation. If her mind goes to you when she's unwinding or processing feelings, you've become a source of psychological comfort. You'll notice she brings you up in conversations that don't require it. Your name appears casually woven into unrelated topics. This isn't accidental. The brain naturally references what feels relevant and emotionally charged. When you live in her thoughts, you become a mental anchor, something she connects to different parts of her life. That's how emotional presence expands beyond interaction. Another sign is how she reacts to your emotions, not just your words, but your mood. When she's attuned to your emotional state, she adjusts her behavior instinctively. She softens when you're quiet, she brightens when you're playful. This attunement happens only when a woman is emotionally invested. It means her nervous system has started syncing with yours. Pay attention to how she handles time with you. She may lose track of it. She may extend conversations without noticing. She may delay endings. Time distortion is a strong indicator of emotional engagement. When a woman's mind is deeply present, her sense of time fades because she's not monitoring outcomes. She's experiencing connection. You may also notice she becomes more authentic around you, less performative, less filtered. When a woman thinks about you often, she starts imagining a version of herself that exists comfortably with you. That imagined self needs less defense. So she relaxes, she teases, she shares unpolished thoughts. This isn't carelessness, it's trust forming quietly. Here's a subtle but powerful sign. She remembers how you made her feel, not just what you said. Emotional memory outweighs verbal memory. If she references a moment where she felt calm, understood, or energized around you, it means her body registered safety. The body remembers safety longer than the mind remembers attraction. You might sense her seeking emotional alignment rather than constant communication. She doesn't need to talk all the time, she just needs to feel connected. This is why she may disappear briefly, but return with warmth intact. Her connection isn't fueled by anxiety, it's sustained by internal reassurance. She carries you with her mentally. This is where many men sabotage themselves. They misinterpret emotional depth as a signal to accelerate, to define, to secure. But emotional presence grows best in space, not pressure. When you allow her to think about you without demanding clarity, her mind continues to explore the connection freely. Desire matures in freedom. Understand this. If she's thinking about you in emotionally meaningful moments, you're no longer just interesting. You're influential. You've entered her inner narrative. And once a woman places you there, removing you becomes emotionally difficult. Not because of dependency, but because you've become part of how she experiences her own emotions. At this stage, your role is simple but powerful. Stay congruent, stay emotionally regulated. Let your presence be a place of calm. Because when a woman associates you with emotional ease, her mind will return to you again and again, long before she ever admits why. When a woman is truly thinking about you, she starts measuring future moments against your presence. This doesn't mean she's planning a life with you. It means her mind is quietly testing how you fit into her world. She imagines reactions, conversations, small shared experiences. This mental rehearsal is how emotional bonds deepen without words. You'll see this when she references things that haven't happened yet, not promises, possibilities. A comment about something you'd enjoy, a hypothetical scenario that includes you naturally. This isn't fantasy, it's integration. Her mind is exploring whether your presence feels natural in her future emotional environment. Another sign appears in how she handles disagreement with you. If she cares, she doesn't want to lose emotional connection even during tension. She may soften her tone, seek resolution, clarify misunderstandings quickly. Indifference avoids repair. Emotional investment seeks it. When a woman values you mentally, harmony with you matters more than winning. Watch how she reacts when you set boundaries. A woman who's emotionally detached pushes against them or ignores them. A woman who thinks about you respects them, even if she doesn't fully understand them yet. Boundaries create psychological safety. They signal self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic to a woman's subconscious. You may notice she becomes more emotionally expressive around you. Not louder, but clearer. She communicates feelings instead of hiding them. This happens because her mind has decided you're emotionally relevant. When someone matters, emotions surface. When they don't, emotions stay guarded. There's also a shift in how she listens. She remembers patterns in what you say. She notices inconsistencies. She asks follow-up questions later. This level of attention only occurs when someone occupies mental space. Attention is the currency of interest, and sustained attention is never accidental. Here's an important truth. When a woman thinks about you often, she begins to protect the emotional image she has of you. She wants you to remain consistent with the version she trusts. That's why sudden changes in behavior can unsettle her. Consistency reinforces emotional safety. Predictability allows attachment to settle. This is why emotional maturity matters more than charm. A man who is steady, self-aware, and grounded becomes a psychological anchor. Her mind doesn't feel chaotic around him. It feels ordered, and the human brain craves emotional order. You may feel her leaning in emotionally without demanding anything from you. That's because her investment is internal, not transactional. She's not seeking validation. She's seeking resonance. When she finds it, her mind returns to it naturally. At this stage, silence can be more powerful than words. Your absence, when paired with consistency, gives her space to reflect, and reflection deepens emotional bonds. The less you interfere with her internal process, the more organic her attachment becomes. If she's doing these things, understand this carefully. You are no longer just a person she interacts with. You are a reference point in her emotional world. And once a woman's emotions organize themselves around someone, detachment doesn't happen quickly. It fades only when safety is broken. So if you want to remain on her mind, don't perform, don't persuade, be stable, because stability is what her mind keeps returning to when everything else feels uncertain. When a woman is thinking about you more than she realizes, the final shift happens quietly. It's not dramatic, it's not announced, it's internal. She stops questioning why you matter and starts assuming that you do. This is the moment when attraction turns into emotional gravity. You don't pull her closer, she orbits you on her own. You'll feel it in how natural everything becomes. Less tension, less testing, less uncertainty. She doesn't need constant reassurance because her mind has already resolved the question of your relevance. You're no longer a possibility. You're a presence, someone her emotions recognize before her logic tries to explain it. At this stage, her behavior becomes calmer, not more intense. This confuses many men. They expect escalation, more attention, more validation. But emotional security looks like ease. She trusts the connection enough to stop monitoring it. She doesn't need to prove interest. She assumes continuity. Notice how she responds to your independence. A woman who only likes attention feels threatened by it. A woman who thinks about you respects it. She feels reassured knowing you have a full life. It confirms the emotional image she's built. A man who is whole, grounded, and not seeking completion from her. That image is powerful. It makes her thoughts return to you with admiration, not anxiety. Another sign is emotional openness without pressure. She may share deeper reflections, fears, or hopes without expecting you to fix them. This means she feels emotionally safe, simply being seen by you. Safety is the deepest form of attraction. It's what transforms interest into attachment. You might also notice she defends you subtly in conversations, in her own mind. When a woman is emotionally invested, she protects the bond psychologically. She interprets your actions generously. She gives you the benefit of the doubt. This doesn't mean blind loyalty. It means emotional alignment. Here's the part most men never hear. When a woman's mind keeps returning to you, it's because being with you aligns her nervous system. She feels more herself around you, not less. More calm, more grounded, more clear. That's why you linger in her thoughts. You represent emotional regulation, not chaos. This is why chasing ruins everything. Chasing tells her you're trying to extract something. Presence tells her you already have it. The men women think about most are not the loudest, the flashiest, or the most persistent. They are the ones who made her feel steady when the world felt noisy. If she's doing what we've talked about in this video, understand this deeply. You don't need to do more. You need to do less, but better. Less forcing, less overthinking, more consistency, more emotional discipline, more self-respect. Because the moment a woman associates you with emotional peace, her mind will return to you again and again, even when you're not there. Now, I want to ask you something personal. Think about one woman in your life right now. Based on what you've heard, what is one sign she's shown that made you wonder if you were on her mind? Write your answer in the comments. If this video helped you see female psychology more clearly, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend who needs to hear